Hey everyone, welcome to a new edition of 502 Sports. I'm your host, Adam Hitt, alongside Jimmy Nolan and Adam Wilkinson. And we have a lot to talk about today, and we definitely want to thank our friends over at Take Tie for supporting local sports and our coverage here at 502 Sports. If you haven't already, you have to try Take Tie. They have great food and great people over there. All right, gentlemen, so it's been a while since our last show, and I wanted to check in first to see how you guys are doing. I know there's been a lot of sports in your all's recent history here, so how are things going on your side?
Oh, going good. Can't complain. Sports been a roller coaster, I guess, on the sports side of things, but overall pretty well.
Yeah, same here. I think we're just getting ready for the holidays coming up on us now, and yeah, it's actually starting to calm down a little.
Yeah, well, we're getting into a lot of really interesting sporting events here towards the end of the year, and I think let's jump right in to talk a little bit about UofL football. Obviously, we're coming off the game against Clemson. UofL lost that one 20-19. Lost their second game in a row with that overtime game against Cal. Really, effectively knocking them out of the top 25 and their hopes at the college football playoffs. So, Adam, I really wanted to start with you. As a huge UofL fan, football, basketball, all around Cards fan. What is your reaction to the loss to Clemson, and just kind of general thoughts on how the season is going to this point?
Disappointing is probably the best way to say it. They definitely had their opportunity, and I thought multiple chances they had to win, but could just never capitalize, especially on the offensive side. Defensively, they've been playing great all year. Probably some of the better defense we've seen, especially from a Jeff Brom team, in a long time. But offensively, they missed Isaac Brown a lot. I think they would have won the game with him, and then the quarterback play is just hasn't been what I think we all thought it was going to be, and we just have to get used to it.
Yeah, Jimbo?
I was just going to touch on that. I mean, we all kind of, could talk about that Clemson game and how it was theirs for the taking. It was theirs for the taking, and Clemson
Percent.
handed it to them on a silver
Multiple
platter
times.
a couple times. Yeah, at least two in the final 6 minutes.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey, we don't want to win. Why don't you take it? And, Louisville was like, no, we're good. We're good.
Exactly how the
It
Cal
was
game
painful. Well, I don't know. I think the Cal game was a little bit different in that it wasn't the marquee name that Clemson brings. Now, granted, Clemson's not having a marquee season.
The way the game played out was exactly the same. You got great opportunities on the 50-yard line or the 25-yard line. You can't move the ball, and missed special teams plays, field goals, which has been uncharacteristic for Louisville this year. Their kickers have been fantastic up until this past Friday.
This past game.
Yeah.
Well, and even just the I can't help but think back to last year's Stanford game, where all Louisville penalized themselves a quick 20 yards, and within the last 10 seconds, Cal kicks a field goal to beat them. Stanford kicks a field goal last year to beat them, and this year it was just like the penalties. This is a team that had seven penalties.
Yeah, it's the unsportsmanlike.
It was seven,
and the false starts.
But even just the regular penalties.
Yeah, I can understand a holding.
We are 8, 9, 10 games in. No, not anymore. Like, you shouldn't have 7 penalties in the fourth quarter. Like, even the false starts, like, that should all be cleaned up by now. If it was game 1, 2, or 3, all right, that stuff happens.
No, the unsportsmanlike
in this game,
so that's self-control, and that's just undisciplined.
Yeah, it is. It's a matter of.
Yeah, I can deal with the penalties.
It's just
a holding or something like that. Something that's a little bit easier to take. But the unsportsmanlike, the personal fouls and the false starts are just unnecessary and just being undisciplined.
Well, and yeah, so for those of you that maybe didn't get a chance to see the game, I don't know if you're living under a rock and didn't even see the highlights, but so basically Louisville gets the ball off of a good 45-ish run from Colin Lacey, gets the ball all the way down to about the Clemson 25, 26-yard line. And you figure even if they go 3 and out, okay, they're well within field goal range. And you would be right to think that. But of course, what happens next? Louisville has a couple, they're wanting to kill the clock because it's the end of the fourth quarter winding down. Yeah, and they took a couple runs for, I think one was like a 1-yard gain, and the other one was like -2 or 3. Sure, no problem. And then Miller Moss takes his sack. And he was kind of trying to scramble out of the pocket looking for a receiver. Yeah. Yes. Like he needs to be disciplined enough to throw that away. And he should have done it here. Okay, even that, okay.
You're still in field goal range.
Sure.
For the kickers.
You're in 50-yarders and your field goal kicker can hit that. Now, 50 yards in college, that's going to be, but that's going to be 50-50. He might make it, but you wouldn't be surprised if he didn't make it though either. Okay, it was a high snap. Adam, we were talking about field goal kicking a little bit, and it's 100% a timing play. And if you're thrown off by seeing your holder have to go up and go down, that changes your eyesight because as a kicker, you got to keep an eye on the ball for your kick. And if that snapper goes up, it's going to throw off your eyes, what you're looking at. And at that point, he's got to follow through with the kick. And yeah, he hooked it. But that had no chance. So, okay, even there, no problem. There's about 4 minutes left to go in the game. Louisville had 2 timeouts plus a 2-minute warning. It's not warning. What do they call it now? The 2-minute timeout? I don't know why it's got to be different, but we all know it's a 2-minute warning. So, if that defense can hold strong, they can get the ball back to their offense with probably about 2 minutes left to go in the game. And that's exactly what happened.
What they did.
And so Clemson goes to and so the ball's on the 30-yard line.
They get the ball on the 25.
And Louisville stops them.
Yeah, and then they
go to punt.
Snap. Yeah.
Bounces it to the kicker. The kicker goes down with the ball, which is what he should have done, because if he had let that ball drown, that's a scoop and score. There was about 3 or 4 different guys barreling down on him. So, there's a good job hanging onto the ball. But then on the very first play, Louisville false starts. Oh,
yeah.
They false start.
You get on the 25,
they're back to the 30.
A total of 19 yards. They go backwards 19 yards.
Yes. And then
you can't make this up.
No, so they're running on first down to kill some clock. Yeah, no, they're doing the play all over again. They're going to run the ball to kill the clock, kick your field goal, go home with a win. So they run it again on first and second down, and then after was it Watson? I think it was Duke Watson. After he runs the ball on second down, he gets tackled by Peter Woods, who stands over him and kind of gives him a little business, taunts him a little bit. Yeah, that's right. What? I'm a tough guy. Da 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 da. And I saw the replay of that a couple times, and there's a Yeah, well, no. The referee was running in there to break it up, and as he's coming in, Lance Robinson shoves the Clemson player to the ground, standing up for his running back, who. The Clemson player that Peter Woods was standing over. Sure, okay. But, of course, Peter Woods, acts a little bit, hits the ground, and boom, there's a 15-yard penalty on Louisville. And just like that, it puts them at the 42. So,
even
God, if that play didn't happen.
They still had an opportunity to win. They still had
They got a good
potential go-ahead field goals to win. They still had opportunities.
Yes, and they did.
Even with all those penalties, they still had a chance to win, and they couldn't pull it out. So, what do you all think in terms of their season? Right, the expectations were really, really high for UofL this year. Obviously, they were hoping to make the college football playoff. They have 2 more, I would say, really, based on where they are now, they have 2 really tough games. One against SMU, who was in the playoff last year, but is not the same team, obviously. But then the rivalry game against UK. What do you all think? They're playing for a bowl spot at this point. What what are your all's expectations for those final two games, SMU and the Kentucky game?
Go ahead, Jamie. I want to stop you. You're on a good roll there.
I was on a roll. No. You're good, man. I mean, I think the goal for Louisville is the same goal for Kentucky. It went out. They're looking to gain some momentum, right? I mean, this is a team that had a heartbreaking overtime loss to Cal. They had a heartbreaking loss, 1-point loss to a team that they should have beaten, Clemson. So they're looking around going, I mean, come on. They can't even say, can we catch a break? Can we capitalize? Can we just do what we're supposed to do and beat a better team? Now, are they a better team than SMU? That there draws that question, too. We found out a lot about this Louisville team in these last two games. Maybe it wasn't the team that we thought it was. Maybe Miller Moss, no, I won't say isn't the quarterback we thought he was. I think everybody kind of has seen the type of quarterback that Miller Moss is, whether they like it or not. Before the Cal game, we all knew that he couldn't throw the ball down the field. Like, he's just not that type of quarterback. He's a throw underneath, throw screens, kind of quarterback. He's not the type of guy who's going to throw it 40 yards downfield. They rely heavily on the run. They rely heavily on the defense, which is what they did. So I do. I think they're going down to Texas. They're going to look to get a win. Obviously, if it doesn't happen, there's no reason to need any extra motivation to beat rival Kentucky. I think they'll be the favorite in that game. Adam, is that at Louisville? That's at Louisville this year, right?
It is at Louisville, yeah.
Yes.
But the way Kentucky's
playing,
that game's going to be 50-50 at this point.
Yeah, it will be, but is that fool's gold in its own right? Kentucky had an extremely impressive win against Florida, and a good win.
Florida
well, not a good win. A crummy. Yeah. Yes, and no. Don't get me wrong. It is a bad Florida team. But did you expect them to hang that many points on Florida? And a pretty bad Cal team too. Like, we can keep going on and on.
You can.
It's
so Adam. Let's switch over to you. What do you think? SMU can the Cards get the win against SMU and then hopefully finish out the season at the UK game? What do you think about those two games?
They can get the win. Good thing is, defense travels, and they've done that all year. They played great defense all year. The worst they probably did was the Cal game at the beginning, letting their quarterback and receiver just play one-on-one essentially. But it seemed like they got that fixed in the Clemson game. They'll have to get the ball out quick when they go back to throw it. They're not going to be able to throw it downfield. They're going to have to do, your quick slants, quick outs, screens, whatever. But yeah, they're going to rely heavily on the run game. They can do it. Whether or not they will, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we see, a Deuce Adams or Brady Allen come in for a couple series just to see if Miller Moss isn't doing well, maybe in the second quarter, kind of see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if that does. In the Kentucky game, I've learned in the past
just taking a guess, what
all bets are off on that game. There's been times when both teams have been heavily favored and have lost. That one's, like I said, I think that's a coin flip at the moment.
Adam, put yourself in Brom's shoes. How long do you give Miller Moss? Like, does he need to score a touchdown? Does he need to lead a touchdown drive in the first quarter for you to not get the hook ready?
No, you don't have to do that. You just got to play smart football. If there isn't there, throw it away. Don't take an unnecessary sack. If you're in field goal range, don't lose 10 yards. Don't take the sack. Find a way to throw it away. Yeah. You just got to play smart. You don't have to have a touchdown, even points. You just got to play smart. Play to the game plan that you're doing, that you have in place.
But what about
if he does that, then I don't think he does.
What about the motivation here, guys? For they've lost 2 in a row. They know they're out of the college football playoff at this point, playing for a bowl game. Totally different situation now, I think, with collegiate athletes, especially in football, with playing for NIL dollars and those sorts of things. What's the motivation going into the final 2 games of the season?
I would be willing to bet all these guys are pretty big competitors and they want to go out to win. So motivation's still going to be there to win. Now, I think where the motivation probably comes into question is, does Isaac Brown try to rush to come back? Or does he just wait until next year to make sure he's fully healthy? I think that's where the biggest motivation question is, not the desire to win. I think the desire to win is going to be there no matter what. At least it should be.
Yeah. No, the desire to win will be there. These guys, like you said, are competitors, and they're all trying out for the NFL. Every snap they play, every game they play is a potential highlight film that they can package together for NFL teams. So, yes, if they're on the field, 100% they're going to give their all. But we've seen people sit out bowl games. At what point does somebody sit out a regular season game, kind of like Mr. Brown?
Colin Lacey did
they
it last
don't
year.
have a conference championship. Yeah, exactly. They don't have a conference championship to play. They aren't going to the college football playoff. If I'm him, I can understand not rushing to get back. It's a $1 million body that the guy's got that college teams are going to pay for. So he should 100% take care of it.
What about you, Adam? What do you think?
Gentlemen. I think in this new world, I think it's just like even in the college football playoff and the bowl games, we're seeing guys start to make the decisions to sit out when they're not, when it's not an important game for them anymore. So I think it's really going to be a coin flip for a lot of these guys, whether they play. But obviously, I think Calipari started something with some of the insurance, for players and things like that, the injury and the NIL reimbursement insurance and all those kinds of things that are happening now.
I thought you were going to go with started paying players early. Sorry.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Oh, it was happening way before he got at Calipari.
Yeah.
No, sure.
Well, let's transition over to basketball. So we had the early season. I know a lot of fans were not happy about having an early season matchup between the Cards and the Cats. On the basketball side, there were a lot of people complaining about that, saying they wanted that later in the year. But I think we got a really, really good game early in the season. We have a lot of really good games. Kentucky played again tonight and got destroyed by Michigan State. So another loss on their side. So wanted to get your all's initial reactions to the game earlier this week. Louisville really coming out early in that first half and just dominating Kentucky. Kentucky tried to fight back a little bit, but initial reactions to the way the Cards have started the season.
Couldn't be a better start, honestly. I mean, if you could draw it up on paper, that's exactly how you'd want to start the season. They came out on fire. Well, really, both teams did. I think it was probably midway through the first half. They pulled away, got, a 16, 18-point lead, and Kentucky came back a little bit. Same thing in the second half. They grabbed a 20-point lead, and they weren't going to keep shooting that way the whole game, obviously, but and then good teams like Kentucky, they don't quit, they come back, and it was ultimately, I think, a great game, probably one of the best games they've had in a long time. Last year's was pretty good too, but I think this year's was more exciting to watch.
Yeah, it was the second highest points total UofL's ever scored against UK since like 1988 or something like that. So
I think so. It should have been. Other than the 7 missed free throws at the end, they could have gotten over the 100-point mark easily.
Yeah. It was a frantic pace. I mean, both teams were running up and down. Both teams were scoring. Both teams were snipers behind the three-point line. Like, oh my gosh, Mr. Aberdeen hit some shots that I remember as he was pulling up to shoot, I'm screaming, "No, don't shoot." It goes in. I'm like, oh, okay, good job. 5, 6, 7 feet beyond the arc, and you're just like, what is he doing? Oh, he made it. Okay, good. Okay. But I think Louisville, you could tell they were fired up.
They were.
Not only that, I feel like
he came out on fire, ready to play. It was his coming out party. And then Ryan Conwell's, steady as steady can be, and both great. But it was great to see Michael Brown play that way.
And that was their points. I mean, those two guys were half the points. 29 and 25 or 28 and 25. I mean, it was just like, my goodness,
53 points combined.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a star was born.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was looking at some of the Wooden Award, nominees and the first team this and the first team that, and nowhere did I see Michael Brown's name. But mark it down, fellas. Like whatever the
by
date,
the end of the year, he'll
November
be there. Especially
18th.
keeps playing this way.
He's going to be a Player of the Year candidate, no doubt about it. Like all he has to do is stay healthy and just play his game. And I think he could make a case. He's going to get, possible Freshman of the Year consideration, Player of the Year consideration, and deservedly so. But that whole team, man, the defense stepped up big, made Kentucky have some silly passes, some silly mistakes,
a lot of turnovers,
14
and they didn't
turnovers.
Turn the ball over. They only had 6, which is also huge.
Nope. Yeah, and they got points on them. Like if you look at the shooting, guys, it was. Let's see, where did I said both teams were close in the number of shots they took. Kentucky took 68, Louisville took 69 shots. Kentucky made 12 threes, Louisville made 13. I mean, they were right there with each other.
Yeah,
but Louisville was 20
assists were the big difference.
And free throws. Louisville shot 31 free throws.
Yeah, a lot of those came at the
Kentucky
end,
shot.
Probably 10 of them came within the last minute and a half. That's I don't know what it was prior to that.
They didn't. Yeah, they didn't score. Would they miss 7? They missed 7 in a row, right?
Mm-hmm. They got
so you take off those 7. Yeah, take off those 7 misses, Wilkie. Take off those 7 misses, and Louisville was 21 of 24 from the free throw line. Kentucky, 12 of 16. That's a 9-point difference. What was the final margin? It was an 8-point victory?
Yeah.
Right there you go. Louisville got to the free throw. They were the more aggressive team. Their bigs enforced their wills down low. Going in, I thought Kentucky may have had the advantage with the big man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
great game. He played like big.
Yeah.
Like you should.
But it's the same thing that happened to Kentucky.
He had some block shots too.
Michigan State as well. But Kentucky just got dominated physically by Michigan State as well. So it's definitely a trend on the Kentucky side. But Louisville took advantage of it. Home court advantage was a huge factor too, man. That crowd was rocking.
Yeah,
that's probably the best crowd we've seen in 6 years, I bet, or 7 years, 6-7 years.
They said the second largest attended game.
Yeah,
it's the second largest attended game behind of all teams, a Notre Dame basketball team, not a Duke or a Carolina. But either way, yes, and those. Well, and the fans were ready. Like they wanted so bad to win this game. Like they knew that they had a contender, and they knew that they've got a coach who has been believing in the program, and he's wanted so desperately for the fans to believe in him and what he's doing, that I think everybody was on board. They were fired up from the shoot around, and it all just clicked for Louisville, defensively, offensively. I mean, Otega Owe, I was going to say, they took Otega Owe out of the game, so much so that Mark Pope took him out of the game toward the end of the game because he was ineffective. He had 4 baskets and 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they locked him down.
He was not effective today either against Michigan State. So I think it's a tale of 2 different teams. I think Pat Kelsey has his team ready to play from the opening tip-off, and the team looks like they want to play for the guy, and they want to come out and win. And the crowd got behind them, and they got out to an early lead and didn't look back. Kentucky tried to fight back in the game, in the second half and pulled it closer. But man, it was a really good statement by Louisville early in the season.
No, I think Louisville's depth is going to be big for them all year, especially they go on the road. They have games they don't make baskets. Pat Kelsey, the way he likes to run, you can easily swap guys in and out. If somebody's hot, you can stay with them. It's going to be fun to watch all year. It's going to be interesting to watch on the road when they don't make their baskets, to see how that goes, see how well the defense steps up. But that's one great thing. They're going to run and they're going to go fast.
They got bench contributions from Adrian Woolley and Javon Hadley off the bench. Both of them scored 9. That's huge if you can get guys coming off the bench putting baskets up. Yeah, there's a bright future. We talked back in the spring as college basketball was winding down in the tournament. We were talking about what's the next step for the University of Louisville men's basketball team, and all four of us or three of us agreed the second weekend in the NCAA tournament. Well, boys, they've got a team that can take them to the second weekend, if not the third weekend in the NCAA tournament. I think if they just stay healthy and keep playing high-intensity basketball, watch out, world.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I was looking at was the strength of schedule for Kentucky and Louisville right now. So Kentucky's strength of schedule is ranked around 15th at the moment. They actually have 18 games of the on their schedule that are considered quad one, right? The tier one competition. Louisville has 12. I think Kentucky's schedule, the way that they're playing right now, the way that they're getting pushed around by top 10, top 25 teams at the moment. If I was a Kentucky fan, which I am, I would support Kentucky, but I think they're in trouble right now. I think they've got a lot to work through and figure out how to play as a team, and you can't start off games in the first half getting so far behind and then trying to work your way back every game the way that it's going so far for Kentucky. So they have a lot of ranked opponents this year.
They do.
A lot of really tough games coming up. That's going to be interesting to see how they adjust and mature throughout the season.
Yeah, the way Kentucky's playing is definitely not helping Louisville's strength of schedule anymore. They keep losing. It's gonna make things worse.
Yeah, but that's one thing that neither of these teams are going to have to worry about. Like the ACC and the SEC are going to have plenty of ranked opponents on their schedule.
Oh yeah.
It's not like football where if you're in the ACC you may only get one or two ranked opponents. So I don't think that'll happen in basketball.
Yeah,
I think they'll be just fine. There's plenty of solid teams. Duke's looming, North Carolina's looming. There's going to be teams that they can.
Yeah, it's definitely unlike football where you can't pull an Indiana and play 4 FCS schools and get away with it.
Hey man, they got the CFP though, didn't they?
Hey, it's working. You know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't blame them. But it'd be nice to see what if they play a little bit tougher non-conference schedule. See what happens.
All right, guys, let's switch gears. I think we could probably have a whole show just about UofL and UK football and basketball right now, but let's switch gears and talk a little high school football. In the 6A tier, we actually have 3 schools that are still left in the state football tournament. So we have St. X, which is going to be a huge matchup versus Mail, and then Trinity is going to be facing Madison Central. Obviously, Mail with a pretty big upset over. It
might be the biggest upset of the year.
Considering that they had lost 52-13 to Mayo.
Nobody saw that coming.
Sorry, Mayo had lost 52-13 in the regular season to Manual, but ended up losing.
That was only 2 weeks ago.
The game.
Yeah, that's why they play the games.
So, what do you all think about the
that's exactly it,
matchup? Let's start there, and what are your all's predictions for that game?
I think St. X is going to win. The way they've been playing lately, they've been on a roll. They beat Bullitt East handily. Bullitt East had a good team, and then they also beat Southern. No problem. Southern's not very good. The last few games they've been playing well.
Oh, I think X is going to go in, and I think they're going to. I'm going to call the beatdown. I think Mail did what they had to do to beat Manual. Now it's on film. I don't think they'll be able to do the same. They're not going to be able to stop St. X the same way. They've got a two-headed monster with their running back. Marlon Harden is just he's really, really good. Louisville commit, if I heard that right. And then their quarterback. Oh God, his name slips me out. Help me out, Adam. St. X's quarterback. Goodness gracious. Hold on. I got to look him up now.
Yeah. Roster. They don't have positions on there. No, I did.
Mason Trimble.
Looking that up.
It.
Yeah. No, St. X beat
Mason Trimble. He's good.
Yeah.
He's good and he's efficient. He put up 3 touchdowns in the first half against St. X, 144 yards through the air. I look for more of the same. I really do. I think Mail is just it's kind of a down year for them in football, and subsequently, I think St. X is up,
They're
which
on a six-game.
it sounds surprising to say.
Winning streak, averaging
it
looks like over 45 points the last 6 games in their wins. They figured something out since losing to, was it Boyle County, and right after the Trinity game. I don't know. So yeah, they've been rolling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give me the Tigers to win by about 25, 30 points. Like, I think it's going to get out of hand, and I think St. X can pack it in at about the end of the third quarter. I think it's possible. I think if St. X wants the running clock, it's on the table for sure.
All right, what about the Trinity
they're that
Central
good
game here, guys? We got a Trinity obviously got the win over in the rivalry game during the regular season over St. X, but now they face a Madison Central team, which on paper looks like a mismatch here, with Trinity being pretty heavily favored. But what are your all's thoughts there on that matchup?
It's going to be. I think Trinity's going to run away with it. The way their defense has been playing lately, it's been, I don't know if they've given up more than 7 points. No, the last 5 games, they've given up a total of 6 points.
The defense is playing lights out.
Yeah.
Zane Johnson's playing well. Jamarian Berry is all state when it comes to running. I think you could definitely be looking at another. Running clock here by the third quarter. I think if Trinity wanted to, they could probably do it before halftime. I think it's just a mismatch of talent. I've got X and Trinity both winning big this weekend.
Yeah.
And then we've got the other matchups here: South Warren versus Henderson County. South Warren looks like the favorite in that one. They are undefeated on the season so far. They did actually have a good win against Manual earlier this year, which is really kind of the only measuring stick there for that team. But they are undefeated.
Bryan Station had a good year. They beat them.
And they were a playoff team as well. Yeah. So and then the other one is really close to call. Frederick Douglass and Ryle. If you look at their RPI and their the teams that they've played, it's a pretty even matchup. So that one's a pretty big coin flip, I think. Do you all have a preference there on either one of those?
I think Ryle's going to pull that out. I mean, they beat Ballard pretty handily, and they got to the championship game last year. They probably want to try to get back there and win it. And so I see Ryle.
Ryle has won 7 in a row. I'll take Ryle. I'm going Ryle on this one also. I don't know much about Ryle. I don't know much about Frederick Douglass other than they got a butt whoop when they came to Trinity. But like I said, 7 in a row for Ryle. They're hot right now. Things are clicking. I'll take Ryle to get the W on this one.
Yeah, I mean they're very close on paper. It looks like those two. Yeah. And then
what would you all say? Would you all? Let me just say this: would you all agree with this or not? Do you think at this point we're looking at a St. X Trinity final based on who's left in the field?
No, and this is why. Going into next week, the games are scheduled off the RPI, and if South Warren wins, Ryle wins, Trinity and St. X are would be the 2 and the 3, and they'll play each other. And then you'll have South Warren and Ryle playing, or Frederick Douglass.
Okay, let's go ahead and adjust. Let's go ahead and adjust that question. Are they the best 2 teams? How about that?
Yes, I think they are.
Without a shadow of a doubt, they are the best 2 teams. They need to meet. They need to meet in the state tournament. Plain and simple. They need to meet in the finals. Both teams have had seasons where they deserve to play for the championship.
I see that. Not seeing any of South Warren play, they would deserve, based on their record, looking at it, they would deserve to be there as well. But
all they have to do is beat a Trinity or St. X, and they will.
I think you're.
But I think both teams have played opponents to the point where they've won convincingly to make themselves the number 1 and the number 2 teams in 6A, and they deserve to be in the opposite brackets the whole way through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they do. That game would be at St. X if they do play. St. X has got the better RPI. I don't know how they also beat them.
Sounds like a game we'd have to maybe go to there, gentlemen. That sounds like a pretty good game.
Yes, it does.
Got to get there first.
Yeah, exactly. The teams that we think have got to win, it's the same thing
Yeah.
that
Tell that to
did
Manuel.
last week against Mayo, right? So,
Yep.
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes every any given Sunday or Friday or Saturday or whatever we're talking about now. So, let's switch
Friday
over
Night
here.
Lights, baby.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless Henderson, Henderson County's got to pull off the upset at South Warren to have Trinity St. X have a chance in the championship game.
Yep. Exactly.
So what's going to happen?
All right, so let's switch over. We want to talk really quick about Racing Louisville. They made their first ever playoff appearance this year. They won their final regular season game against Bay FC to clinch a playoff seed. They clinched the 7th seed, which meant they had to go travel up to Washington Spirit for the opening round. And ultimately, it turned out to be a really good game. They forced extra time and then went into overtime. Extra time and then into shootout. Racing ultimately fell in shootout 3-1 to the Washington Spirit. But overall, just an incredible season for them to make the playoffs. They hadn't finished higher than, I think, 9th in their entire existence. And so for them to make the playoffs was absolutely huge. What did you all think? Your reactions for Racing Louisville making the playoffs, and potentially what does that mean for the team moving forward, into next season and beyond?
I think it's fantastic. First time doing that, really exciting. Kind of for next year, I think it really just kind of grows the fan base. Seeing them do that, seeing how hard they play, it's only going to get more fans out there and really going to push the team to play even harder and hopefully get back again next year, which if everybody comes back, there's no reason to think they can't do it and be even better.
Winning brings out fans. Plain and simple. If you have a winner, people will come and watch. And I think that not only making the playoffs was able to show this city, hey, we've got a good product that's on the field, enough for you to pay your money to come watch play. But the fact that they made the postseason, they were on national TV. The games were nationally broadcasted. And that's, I think, is phenomenal exposure. Because I think, was it Sunday they were on? I think they were on a Sunday. I switched over from an NFL game, and I watched the last last half hour of regulation, and then the overtime penalties. But it was just one of those things where I became a fan. I started to familiarize myself with the players, and they became my team. Hopefully I'm not alone in that. I think the more that they can get on TV and win, the more that this city can rally around them. Where they were playing DC, Adam, I know you were watching the game. That stadium was packed. There were 10, 12,000 people there cheering them on. And I remember telling my wife, God, it would be great if we could draw this amount of fans here in Louisville. And there's no reason why we can't. The men draw that, have drawn that multiple times. So why can't the women? And I think in previous years, they weren't as good as their competition. And, it's hard to pay out the money for tickets and, merchandise and concessions when there's just not a good product to get behind. Adam Wilkinson, you know that from the couple of years of the Kenny Payne and the Chris Mack years. When the product's not good, the fans aren't going to be there. Now, you get the product good, and the fans will turn out. And I look forward to next year. I would love to know the attendance numbers from racing games between this past year and this upcoming year. I would venture to say that they're going to see more fans in the stands, and hopefully maybe get a little more national publicity. Maybe they can try and get on TV, even locally. Like if one of the local stations can put them on and just televise it here in the city, something like that. It can only grow their brand.
Yeah, it was, one heck of a season. So they actually broke a record, club records in wins. They had 10 wins on the season. They broke a record for the number of goals that they scored, the number of road wins, and overall the number of points that they scored in the league was the highest that they've had all season. I do think that one of the issues is marketing the team. And I think that that's something where the team really needs to start investing now in more marketing for racing so that they can build the fan base like Lou City has.
Absolutely.
And fill the stadium, because they absolutely deserve it. They should have the support. It's the top tier of women's soccer in the U.S. It's arguably one of the best leagues in the world, if you compare it to the European leagues. But one of the things that we are really missing, I think, as a team is like that one superstar player, right? If you look around the league, if you look at like Trinity Rodman from the Washington Spirit, who actually didn't play in the playoff game that we played them just last week, we don't have that marquee player that's going to draw people out. Now, we have some very, very good talented players on our team, but I think that's something that's really going to be needed for this team is they need a marquee name, somebody big to come in and help fill the stands and pack the house at Lynn Family Stadium. But overall, just an absolutely incredible season for the team. Taylor Flint, one of the midfielders, her overall rating, for soccer, there's player ratings. So out of 10, what's your overall, player rating for the season? She had the highest player rating of any player across the league. So we have those impact players that are making an impact on the field. I think we just need to make that connection between, the local fans and make sure they're getting to the games. And hell, even giving away free tickets, whatever we have to do to fill the stadium up, and promotions and different things like that the team can do. So really looking forward to next season. Just like you said, Jimbo, I think winning builds on itself. I think we hopefully will see more fans in the stands for racing next season.
Yeah, I think we will.
Yeah, and then on the Lou City side, guys, Louisville City FC won their second straight Players' Shield, which meant that they were the top team in the league. They had the most wins, the most points. I think they were second in goals scored. For the second year in a row, they were the number one overall seed in the playoffs. And unfortunately, they crashed out in the opening round to Detroit City. Just a heartbreaking loss at home, 1-0 to Detroit. It just felt like they just couldn't get the goal when they needed it in that game. What are your all's thoughts on the season? We did just see that Damian Loss just got the goalkeeper of the year, and Kyle Adams on Lou City was voted the defender of the year for the USL as well. But just really, really disappointing to basically crash out of the playoffs in the opening round.
Yeah, it's overall a great year, and you can't really take anything away from that. It was bad timing, I guess, to have their worst game of the year coming in the playoffs, but didn't really take away from them. But also do want to give a shout out, might mess up his name too, is it Niall McCabe, retiring after 11 years. I think he was on the very first team, and he was the guy who lined up home plate at Slugger Field with them, and it's been part of the success of Lou City from day one. So I wouldn't be surprised I don't know if they even retire his number, but it'd be one worth retiring with all the achievements he's helped bring Lou City and everything he's done for that team. So, shout out to him on a great career, and hopefully they can continue that success next year and moving on.
Yeah, we absolutely just loved all of the photos with him, with all the trophies, the 2 championship trophies and all of the Eastern Conference trophy championships, along with the Players' Shield trophies. Just really cool to see all of the winning that Lou City has done, which has led to such great fan support as well. As we talked about in Louisville, we do love our winning teams, and so that's something that's really helped Lou City grow as a brand and the support here locally in the city. Jimbo, what did you think about kind of the opening round loss by Lou City to Detroit?
The goals were hard to come by, and it was just one of those things where it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking, but I guess as the first half progressed and into the second half, I felt confident that they were going to be able to net one. And when it wasn't happening, you could see them trying to press forward, and you could see the desperation start to set in, and the realization that, oh crap, this might not happen. So it was a good year, but it's one that stings. It's one that has I won't say an asterisk. It was a phenomenal year. Not even a good year. It was a phenomenal year. They lost one game all year before that loss to Detroit. So 2 games all year. They were the epitome of consistency, and it's still mind-boggling that they first round to a team that they were better than. Not that day, unfortunately, but it was a good season, and you want to celebrate the team's success. But gosh, you can't help but think, what if, and if they'd been able to get past that, could they have, marched on and raised another trophy? Ifs and nuts or candy and butts, whatever. But it was a good season. It was a great season. It really was. Like you mentioned earlier, goalie of the year, defender of the year. They clearly have a lot of talent on the field. So it's a shame that they were ousted so early in the tournament. But
would you compare it to
take a nice break? They deserved it. Yeah. It was one that not that you would look past an opponent, but I'm sure that
one you would expect to beat. You fully expect to beat. They've beaten them multiple times.
Yeah, and if you look at the rosters, I mean, Lou City is just far and away the better team. Throughout the regular season for the past 2 years. They've taken care of business against Detroit in the past, and it just they fell flat, right? And they couldn't. They had chances to score. They couldn't get the goal that they needed. They gave up a goal off of I think if it was a corner, in the first half, and they just could not get the goal to tie the game. And so it's disappointing, but I think the tradition of winning kind of continues under head coach Danny Cruz. It'll be interesting to see what players come back, because now that we've had 2 really, really good regular seasons back to back, but 2 not so great playoffs back to back, I think that's going to be a problem moving forward. Hopefully we can keep a lot of the players that were here. You mentioned Adam, Niall McCabe retiring. That's a big loss from a leadership perspective for the team.
It is.
But I think we have from top to bottom, the best team in the USL Championship. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
The guys that are on the bench for Louisville City would be starting anywhere else in the league. I mean, that's how good this team has been, and that's how much the ownership has invested in this team, is to make sure that we have the depth to compete. So it will be really interesting to see, and I hope that we get to keep a lot of the players that we had from this past season, because they've done just a phenomenal job and really helped to keep the winning tradition alive for Lou City.
Be interesting to see if McCabe still wants to do anything coaching-wise, stay around the team, if he wants to help out at all, or what his plans are.
Yeah, there was talk about potentially him, looking at a role potentially in the organization, but who knows? It is interesting. It's a rare feat now to see somebody who stays with one organization, no matter what sport it is, for their entire career. So just really, really cool for him. They did a great job of kind of sending him off as well, in his retirement. So really, really cool overall, but looking for better results in the playoffs next year for Lou City, for the boys in purple. All right, gentlemen, it's time for our 502 Sports Quick Hits. And Adam, I think we're going to start with you to kick things off.
Yeah, perfect. So, University of Louisville men's cross-country team had a great 2025 championship season here, achieving their best ACC team finish since 2016 and earning a team bid to the NCAA championships this Saturday in Columbia, Missouri. Looking forward to seeing how they do. Hopefully they can put up some great results there.
Yeah, they got the at-large bid after the regional competition, so really looking forward to seeing the Cards on the men's side in the cross-country race. So, Jimbo, back over to you.
Well, fellas, it looks like KCD and 1A is moving on. They won their game this past weekend, and they look to take on Newport this coming weekend. So good luck to Coach Matt Jones and the Bearcats against Newport. Also, Christian Academy in 3A. They also were victorious. They will now take on Union. So good luck to Coach Hunter Cantwell and his squad as they move through the 3A bracket.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff happening there to have some of our Louisville teams representing in the other classes as well. I know we get caught up in the 6A a lot, here in Louisville, but, those other teams are really fighting and playing really well, especially Christian Academy and KCD. So on the soccer side, I did want to mention another of our quick hits is the Spalding University women's soccer won their conference championship and made it into the NCAA Division III soccer tournament for the second time in the past 3 years. They had a really tough draw in the NCAA tournament against a team, Lake Forest College, which is up near Chicago. So they had to travel up there to go play Lake Forest in the opening round, and unfortunately, they lost the opening round game. But 2 out of 3 years making the Division III NCAA tournament is a huge accomplishment. It's an incredible season for the Golden Eagles, and we'll definitely be continuing to watch the program as they build their winning tradition at Spalding here in the 502.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then going back to football, D2 football, the Thoroughbreds of Kentucky State University made their very first playoff in D2.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
Great for the Thoroughbreds there. Yeah, it looks like they'll be taking on Newberry this Saturday in the opening round. Looks like they got 3 guys on their team from the 502. So look forward to that game. Hopefully they can pull off the upset and move on to the second round.
Yeah, they have 2 guys that went to Mayo and 1 that went to Fern Creek. So definitely got some guys there representing the 502 for sure.
Yeah.
And then I know we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but goalkeeper Damian Loss for Lou City won the goalkeeper of the year for the USL championship. And then Kyle Adams won the defender of the year. But he was also joined by his fellow defender Josh Jones as being nominated for that award. But ultimately, Kyle Adams got the Defender of the Year award in the USL Championship. Damian Loss, his stats were absolutely incredible this year, but obviously had a great back line to kind of support it. He only gave up 0.7 goals a game. And only gave up 19 total goals in 30 matches across the season. So a really huge season for Damian Loss in goal. We're really hoping that he's going to be back in purple next season, but that's still kind of up in the air. We'll see how that goes. And then Jimbo, I think we've got one more quick hit.
Yeah, so flag football is now going on around the great state of Kentucky. The girls are getting out on the gridiron and showing their stuff. We've got Assumption and Sacred Heart both getting 1 seed in their respective draws. A lot of attention now coming to girls flag football. I can tell you, man, I don't think it'll be long before they start making it a statewide sport and a sanctioned sport. At least I don't believe it's sanctioned yet.
It's not yet.
I know they've got
it's an Olympic sport now.
Yes, it is. Yes. I know it says over 19 states have it right now, but with as much attention as it's getting, I can't imagine it'd be too much longer before Kentucky joins that ranks as well.
Be surprised if it's not within the next couple of years.
Yeah, the NFL is really pushing with the Olympics coming and flag football being an Olympic sport. They are really pushing and supporting a lot of these grassroots teams. And so we actually have 24 teams in the local, I think they're all from Louisville, but 24 teams in the Girls Flag Football Association League this year. They've got a lot of teams, and that tournament's going on right now. Assumption and Sacred Heart, I think, were both the number 1 seeds. And then you had Mercy and Moore that were the number 2 seeds in the tournament as well. So really cool to see flag football kind of taking off especially across the 502. Yeah. So we'll keep up with how that tournament progresses. All right, all. Well, we wanted to take Ty, our friends over there, once again for supporting our local coverage here at 502 Sports. And we really want to encourage everyone to get out and support all of these great athletes and teams around the 502. And we thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time on 502 Sports.
Yeah. See you guys next time.